Frankie here. Today I'm honored to have Joseph Tran. It's been a long car ride to get here, but it is all worth it because we have Minnesota Joe here representing Knuckleheads Cali, Breakfast Dance Company, to talk about experiences and perspectives on Breakin. Joe, thank you so much for joining me today. It's just such an honor to be able to share your story.
I appreciate you coming and interviewing me and taking the time and considering me, and thanks for driving all this way through the snow.
I feel like a teenage girl going to an Ariana Grande concert. So to start here, we're just gonna talk about recent competitions you've been at. You had a showing at Freestyle Session. You also had a 1v1 just a couple weeks ago. You Cypher side. What's it been like competing in more recent months?
It's been back to reality. I haven't competed very much. I actually just thought of it as we were setting up here. I've only competed 4 times since 2019. Surprisingly. As you know, me and my crew used to represent a lot, you know what I mean? And I kind of took a back seat because I was doing more theater work and stage shows. It's been a weird ride, especially with COVID and the pandemic. There weren't many opportunities to practice battling and competing, right? And so Freestyle Session, we only had 4 people. We did Knuckleheads. But none of us had competed for like 2 years. And so we kind of walked in being like, yeah, okay, we'll get through prelims, and once prelims is done, we'll pick it up. And we did make it through, which was a huge reality check for me. Side note, I did pull my groin pretty bad. And so that kind of limited what I could do. But anyway, regardless, we didn't make it past prelims. I don't remember the last time I didn't make it past prelims. Me and Will and Mike and Ryan, we were like really pissed about it. And so I went back home and I trained. There was a battle here at Cypherside, a studio, 2 weeks later, and I was like, I'm going to train up for that. I need to redeem myself,
What did the training look like for that battle?
I just really tapped back into, like, when you've been breaking for so long, sometimes you forget what made you who you are. Because like you try to evolve and you kind of put things in the back burner a little bit. So for training for this battle, I kind of just like went back to kind of what I was good at. I tried to tap back into like battling again. Not just being so confident in my style that I'm not trying, you know what I mean? And so at practice, I would go around, so I would pretend that I'm actually competing against somebody and testing my endurance and like really just trying to battle again. And it felt good, man.
As opposed to just training moves.
Yeah, because I just feel like especially the last few years since I haven't been competing, I just like to experiment and like come up with new stuff. I mean, I guess B-Boy should be doing that all the time. But I just kind of forgot that fire. Being at Freestyle Session, seeing younger kids kill it, seeing Rockstar still kill it, and have that fire and desire made me remember that you always still have to pay dues. No matter how long you've been in the game, you have to be out there and try and do your best. And so that's what Freestyle Session made me realize. And I hope to keep that momentum going. But yeah, I entered the battle and it felt good to battle people again and put it all out there, and luckily I won, so.
That's awesome. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get to see you in months moving forward too.
I hope so, man. I'm not getting any younger, so just put it all out there. You're
right. Could you just start by essentially sharing what is your origin story? Who taught you breaking?
So I started breaking in 2002, 7th grade. The story I like to tell, it's I guess not that interesting, but growing up I don't know how to swim. So growing up, I was so embarrassed about not being able to swim that I like begged my parents to put me in a school that didn't have a pool. Okay? So they put me in this private school that didn't have a pool so I could avoid, being embarrassed. I was playing soccer at that school and I went to slide tackle somebody, and I had just watched Kung Fu Hustle and Shaolin Soccer. And I did a half a windmill to get up from that slide tackle. And some girl at that school was like, yo, you break dance? I was like, yep. And that was my origin story. I literally saw flares and windmills on watching Shaolin Soccer, and that's what I thought was cool. And as soon as she said that, I was a breaker. I didn't stop. I just kept doing that move, this half-ass windmill coin drop at all the school dances. Then I found out my cousin he was breaking for a year. and then he taught me flares and windmills and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's how I started. And then I grew up learning from Propaganda Crew. It's an old crew here in Minnesota. And then I learned from Slim Nasty. I learned from Daylight a little bit. These are all old school Minnesota b-boys. And yeah, and then I met Knuckleheads Cali in 2006 at an IBE qualifier. And I remember I did really well.
Was this in Minnesota too?
This was in Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were traveling at that point, so maybe 4 years in? Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I started traveling in 2004. I started going to Chicago, and not I'd get in the car with a bunch of kids, But then 2006, my power was getting pretty good. And so that's where I met Knuckleheads Cali. And then I battled with them for a number of years until I joined them in 2010.
If we could back up a second. So you had a cousin who was breaking. Where did you meet the other dancers who was introduced?
I just kind of met them, through Word of mouth. I mean, so my cousin taught me. We went to Sunday school, Vietnamese church, where, you know, I would show off moves to impress girls or whatever. And then like other kids at that Vietnamese school could break too, and I would battle them. And then they would talk to somebody else. And then I remember this guy Zeus, who was old school Hmong b-boy from here, super nasty. Zeus was crazy. I don't remember this story, but everybody tells me it. Apparently he rolled up to the church where I was, and then we like battled outside. And then he told like somebody else about me, and then somebody else told me about some battle happening at the Mall of America. And that was my first battle I went to. It was in 2004 at this place called Gadzooks. And I met, you know, some of the people that were like officially in the scene there, propaganda crew, and I battled them at that jam. And that's how I was introduced into the scene.
Okay, so there were already a lot of b-boys at that time, and
Yeah.
younger people breaking too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. We had a pretty decent amount of b-boys even before me.
Sure.
Yeah, they're definitely shout outs to like Battle Cats, Groove Nuts, Propaganda. All those guys were before me. Yeah, 2006 I met them for the first time. Battled in Chicago. Battled MiG 187 in one of the battles. And at that time I think he was pretty cool with Knuckleheads Cali. And then like, you know, Flexum saw me, Mike the Cure was there, Thesis was there, he was like 14. And I was like a fanboy of all of them. So I have photos of me like a little kid like taking pictures with them. And then Flexum hit me up on MySpace. Hey, do you want to battle with us in Chicago again? We're coming back in a couple months. And so I was like, oh, sure. You know, I was wide-eyed, like those were the celebrities to me, you know?
Yeah.
So I battled with them, and you know, for whatever reason, they liked my style. And then I battled with them again, like 2008 at B-Boy Unit in Cali. You know, I kept in touch with them, and then 2 years later, in 2010, I got down with them. That's a story that came from real different points. I hope that made sense.
That whole time they were moving around a lot and you were just kind of following along with them.
Yeah.
Was it difficult like having that geographical separation?
Yeah, it was a little awkward at first, just especially because Thesis was young, but you know, he was been around and experienced in the crew, and I was young, but I felt a little younger just because I wasn't a part of that, with those guys, you know. So yeah, it was a little awkward and hard to keep in touch, you know, at first, being online and stuff. I just kept training and they kept inviting me out. Like it took me 4 years to get down with them. Like I would battle with them as like a guest throughout those years. And then we just built a relationship throughout that time. So it was tough. I was training. I always liked them, but I wasn't like, I need to be part of this crew. Like I was just training anyway. And we happened to like each other's style. I mean, I did idolize them, but it wasn't anything like, yeah, it just kind of happened.
Would you guys have opportunities to meet up and train together days before the competition, or would you just showed up there?
Yeah, I would show up, you know, a couple of days before and train, but we never really had the time to meet up outside of a jam because everybody was busy. I was still in high school, like, you know, for some of that. It was just really hard to get the timing right because people moved around and were busy, you know.
Okay.
But nevertheless, we made the most of our time when we got together. It was just really a collective mind of how we think breaking should be, or what we liked about breaking. So that's what held us together. Yeah.
So 2010, you got down with them, and how about the time beyond that? 2011, I know was a big year for you guys.
Yeah.
That year was packed for you guys in terms of competition.
Yeah.
Kind of, what was that experience like?
It was intense. You know, we were all of a sudden winning so many jams and getting flown out places. We just, it was actually pretty stressful. I remember, I'm pretty hard on myself when it comes to training. Like, I don't know. I'm interested to watch this footage because I cringe at anything before like 2014 for me, because I was a young b-boy, you know, just trying different stuff, different kind of styles, and breaking like 100 miles an hour all the time.
Sure.
It's dope. Like I'm excited to watch it. But anyway, it was an intense time. Any b-boy right now that's consistently training and battling, I have hats off to, because it's hard mentally, you know?
Right.
You just have to try to stay on top all the time.
We're going to start going through some footage. So the first clip we'll roll here is actually the first clip that I saw of you. You battled Frankie from Supreme Beings, first round.
I should do that again. I should do this again. I made that move, actually, believe it or not, like in 2008, a while back, like way back. I think I stumbled upon it from trying to figure 4 air flare, and then I tried to go to like just a regular flare out of it, and I would land on my side. I just decided to end in Lotus instead. I made it in 2008, and then...
From crashing.
From crashing, basically, yeah, to answer your question, yeah. Using what I know to the best of my ability, and just trying to be different. So that's how I landed upon that move. And then actually in 2010 is the first time I did it against Flying Buddha. And in those 2 years that I made it, maybe I even made it in 2006, I can't remember, but it was a long time ago. It was just one of those things again, like I talked about earlier, like
I'm like, oh yeah, I have that move. It's pretty cool. It's kind of unpredictable, and I did it flying Buddha, and everyone went nuts for it, but that move requires so much stretching. I can't even do it anymore. The last time I did that was like 2 years ago, and I want to get it back. And
Just to be able to pull that other leg in?
I don't know, something about it. I don't know if my thighs are too big now or what it is. I just remember stretching a lot for it. To execute it, you have to just be like, this is my move. It's my move. Like, I can hit it. Like, if anybody's gonna hit it, it's gonna be me. You know what I mean? And that helps in executing the move. I did make it up by crashing. Yeah, that's a good round. I'm gonna bring that back.
One thing that's really interesting about this round, being able to take a flare up to an air flare like mid-set, is that something that you're cognizant of budgeting your energy or certain moves up front versus in the middle of your round? It looks incredible when you're able to do tech leading up to your powers. Any thoughts on that?
No, absolutely. I think about that a lot. The budget of energy, that's a good way of putting it. I'm really obsessed with composition. Nowadays, I do like to freestyle my stuff a little more, but I like level changes. I like being able to throw something in the middle. And back then, I had the energy to do that. If you ever see me do 2 flares, you know I messed up. I don't like doing, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like recovering. Yeah, I just remember at that time, you know, people were mixing power. I just wanted to do it with tech, like you said, you know? Yeah. That was a big part of my approach back then. Now I feel like I gotta throw an air flare in the beginning. Okay. Because you're right, like picking up flare from a combo, like I don't know why, but it's harder for me now. Yeah, it's always impressive when people can just pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah. For someone who's been at this event, the North American Qualifier, for more than 1 year, do you have any thoughts you want to share about just being on this grand of a stage?
I just remember it getting to me a little bit. Like it's hard to be on, it's BC1. Like it's this giant stage. It's all this press. Interviews before and stuff. You know, BC1 is the biggest one-on-one there is now. I do remember thinking that I had to do everything really big and doing I would load up all my rounds because I was like, this is the biggest competition ever. And thinking, if I was gonna give myself advice then, I would say less is more. I mean, even though that round is dope, I just have a more refined approach now. At that level, you really do have to energetically put yourself out there, but I don't think you necessarily need to stack so many moves because it's hard to execute at that level.
So not just packing just for the sake of packing, there has to be some effect to it.
There's some effect, like a battle. It's still a battle. Yeah, it is kind of a show, but you should still be battling this person, so you should not try to overexert yourself. Right. You know what I mean? Just because it's a big stage. But anyway, it was an exciting time. It really got my name out there for a lot of this, and I'm grateful that it happened. It's not as bad as it seems. Looking back, I've hardly watched this footage for whatever reasons. Yeah, BC1, man. Hats off to whoever is doing it right now, because that shit is crazy.
And for each of the different years that you were there, how were you invited? What was the process for that like?
They just invited me.
Okay.
I think to all of them.
Just wrote you an email?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I did qualify for one. I won a BC1 in Chicago.
Okay.
In 2014.
Was there prelims for that?
No, I was invited to the Chicago Cypher, I believe. And then I won that one and then went to the North American.
Moving on here, this one's a crazy one. You guys were in the finals with Squadron.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, this battle is like 17 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a 3v3. After the normal battle, you guys got 2 ties and a vote. Everyone went out once again, and then it was another tie break, 2 ties and a vote. Yeah. And then you went out against El Nino.
Yeah, so Gordy, Flexen was supposed to go out, and I kind of tapped his shoulder, like, you know what you're doing? He's like, I have no idea. And then my homie Jake, you can see him in the red pants, he said, bro, go do your warrior shit. And that's like my crew from Minnesota. And at this time I was experimenting with like Knuckleheads Cali kind of style, but he was like, yo, go back to your like warrior stuff. And this is all old stuff I was doing before I joined Knuckleheads. And so Jake, Boogie B, essentially coached me through that whole round. Man, that's one of those moments, right? That I feel like it's a theme all of a sudden now that like, you gotta go back to what you're good at. I had this whole packed round I didn't even do like throughout the whole jam. Even in the first tiebreaker, I remember like throwing like flare inside 90 or something like.
Yes.
Something cool, but like it wasn't the stuff that I remember doing. Shout outs to Boogie B, Jake, House of Dance. He tapped me on the shoulder, man. I will never forget that moment. And it was just super cool. And I remember we won. I was like, oh my God, we beat Squadron. Like they had won like 20 jams in a row before that or something. And so like we broke their streak. Yeah, that was a good round, man.
Were you gassed at all?
No, because that hyped me up. As soon as he told that to me, I just was like, yeah, I got more. I got way more. Never forget though, man. We were pacing around and Gordy was like, I was like, you know what you're doing, dude? He's like the look on his face. I wish you guys seen it, man. He's He's like, I have no fucking clue what I'm gonna do. Yeah, that was that story, man. It was dope to tap back in to my old stuff. It's those championship rounds, you know? You gotta really, really believe in yourself at that. Because at that, everybody's dangerous first round. Everybody can kill it. Like nowadays, especially, are you kidding me, dude? But when you get into those deeper rounds, like, yeah, you tap back into what you've been doing. You know, training in a way where, yeah, you're consistent. You've been doing this. If you go rounds, there are other things that you have from when you were breaking for only 3 years. You know what I mean? That, you know, collecting those things that made you who you are and not forgetting about them. And that's hard to do because, you know, I forgot, again, that's another round that I'm gonna bring back. Training is important, and being in touch with how you came up is important too. It's gonna serve you in some way. That was a dope round. I'm gonna watch that again later.
A double tie break. I've never seen that.
I don't think it happens very often.
Who was judging that day? Do you remember?
It was Remind, it was Ivan, and Stripes.
Do you remember how they voted?
I'm pretty sure the last vote was Stripes was for Squadron, and then Remind and Ivan were for us. But I do remember Ivan. If you look at the footage real close, shout out to Ivan, man. He's the man. But you can see him like, he like spins around like during my round. He's like dancing. I'm like, dude, you need to be watching the battle, bro. Yeah, watch that footage again. You'll see Ivan in the back. He's not emceeing. He's a judge.
Right.
He looks like an MC, but he was judging. But anyway, shout out to Ivan.
Next clip here, it's another 2011. This is Knuckleheads Cali versus Hustle Kids.
Jesus, all 2011. Wow.
We have to go through 2011. This was a packed year for you.
Yeah, I was gonna Cisco and Venmo, man.
Yeah.
Oh, I need to hit that again too, man, see?
The question I had here, just being able to compete like competition after competition, it seemed like you guys were really loaded at the front of that year, if you remember.
Yeah.
And then towards the end too, how do you keep yourself healthy? Just being battle ready each time to make it to the finals and be trying to contend for the title. What is that experience like, and what did you take from that?
My initial reaction is that I just had that young energy. I just wanted it back then. It was just like my whole life. And so I think, and representing my crew, Knuckleheads, was the biggest motivation. It's like, we're out here, we gotta represent Knuckleheads. But there was a lot of fatigue. Actually, in this battle, I had the worst jet lag I've ever experienced. I don't think I slept the entire trip. I like could not sleep, I swear to God. I tried everything. I had headphones on, I just remember the music being on the whole night. I had like zero sleep this trip, which is not an excuse, but I do remember being like, holy shit, I cannot keep up right now.
Were you traveling in the same day you had to compete, or did you get there?
No, I got there early for a few workshops.
Okay.
Funny side story. I did arrive in Belgium days before. On the first day I arrived, I took a nap and they were like, hey, you should come to this practice with us. I was like, nah, I'm like really tired, I gotta teach and I'm just too tired. But they're like, no, come through. And so I went to the practice, sitting around, and this guy was like, hey, you should warm up. I was like, that's weird. I was like, that's a really weird thing to say to me at a practice. And then this dude, Hurricane Ray, comes into practice. Everyone's giving him high fives and shit. And I was like, I've heard of this guy, but... And then they all corral and they all go towards me. And he calls me out at this practice. And I think we went like 10 rounds. I think there's like footage somewhere, which I'm hesitant to look at. But that was one of those experiences, you know? You know, anytime you're traveling like this, you gotta kind of be ready. And
People are hungry.
They're hungry. They're gonna want to take it from you. And that's totally awesome and fine, because that's what it's about. But you know, a lot of that kind of keeps you on your toes, you know? You just gotta be ready. I really wanted it. My intention was to kill it. When you're focused on something and you have an intention and a goal, that's gonna get you pretty far. That move right there, that was one of those Warriors moves too, though. In these championship rounds, you gotta dig deep and you gotta be confident in those rounds, you know? I don't even know if I can do that anymore.
Any injuries?
During that time? Yeah, I'm sure I've had rotator cuff injuries like my whole life from air tracks and stuff like that, and just overdoing it. Specifically for that jam, I don't think I remember.
Or that year.
Yeah, I mean, there's several. You know, it's little knee things. Nothing like torn. That year was nutty, dude.
We're gonna show a practice clip. I'm always fascinated to hear what kind of practice habits people have. You figure maybe battles, you show off maybe what, 60% of your content or the difficulty?
This is in 2014.
Yes.
This is my dad's work.
Okay.
Got many airflows out of the coffee right now. You know, it's funny because I posted a clip of me doing that recently, double windmills, and a lot of people liked it. A lot of people can do that, and B, I've been doing that for a really long time. It's weird when you get the shine. But
when you recorded this clip, is this kind of what your practice normally look like?
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the day.
You know, some days I really, if I'm preparing for a battle, today is putting together rounds. Today is messing around with the composition. So am I gonna throw that move after the flare, or am I gonna throw it before? Being conscious of my energy my budget. So some days look like that. It's just construction. I'll do a round a million times, but I don't like it. So I tear it apart and do something else. And some of those days, it's one round. And then that's all I got done that day. I didn't get around to the other ones. Some days I just touch up on power, double windmills, air flares, real basic, my foundation, or whatever your foundation is. This practice looks like I was doing a little bit of foundation and combos. So some practices I just go in just being like, I feel strong today, and I'm just gonna throw whatever comes out. And then some days I just roll around. It's really low energy. Just seeing what I can roll around into. So to answer your question, I think it's just I set kind of an intention for the practice of that day, and then if it's not going the way I wanted it to, which is very often, you pivot to something else. So let's say I feel strong that day, I'm like, yeah, I can do backspin 90, swipe, flare, air flare, and if I don't do it after a couple tries, I gotta pivot to something else. So just making those choices in the moment too are important.
How has your training structure changed over time? So you're giving this description of how practices run more currently. What about when you first started? How would they compare?
It's weird though, because it hasn't changed that drastically.
Okay.
Actually,
so you're doing things right probably from the beginning.
Well, I don't know, right's the right word. Yeah, it hasn't changed that dramatically. I think, actually, I do remember like way back in the day, I would practice twice a day. Me, Mighty Wealthy, and Boogie B, we would go to Gold's Gym twice a day, one at 2 and then one like at 8. And that's when I was chilling. Like I had an easy job. Like I had the time, I had the money too, and the support from my parents to do that. So back when I was competing and having success, it was a lot of cardio. I would go rounds with the homies. I would time the rounds, like stopwatch or go rounds. If I'm by myself, I would do a round, look at the timer, give myself 20 seconds, and I do it again. Do it the same round or a different round. And I would always train as if it was a one-on-one. So even if it's a crew battle, even though I know I have like 3 minutes to rest, I want to be able to like snap and get it out because you never know. You never know what can happen. That's what a lot of my practices look like for competing. Kind of more the same though from then and now. Constructing, seeing Legos, like I'm gonna put this block here. No, that doesn't work. I'm gonna move it over here instead. So my training, I guess, hasn't really changed that much. I won that last battle because I went back to the way I kind of did it with more intensity. I do think. Real practical stuff. Things that have helped me keep healthy is eating better, eating protein after to recover, carbs, before practice. Like these things really matter. Like I didn't think it, for whatever reason, I don't know how to explain science or anything, but when you're younger, it's easier. I don't know why. You just live off like nothing or candy. You know what I mean? Nowadays, I gotta be conscious of like what I take in before practice, food-wise, and it really, really matters. So that's a big thing now. To prevent injury, now the reason I had shoulder problems is because I pushed through pain. Now I don't.
What do rest days look like now?
Total, like this. I'm sure I should be like stretching or doing something, but I only practice like 4 days at most a week now. And just being conscious of like, if I feel a little bit of anything, it's an indication that you either need to take a break or you're doing it wrong, try to get it in a different way, or you need a break. Yeah, you need to listen to your body. And I don't. I'm the hardest person to hear that. I don't take that advice because I like to be like, yeah, I can do it, I got it. Kids, take a break. Take a break when you need it, man. We're in this for the long run, right?
Yes, sir.
Like we're in this break until I'm 70 if I can. It's not a race.
We're gonna jump forward a little bit into time. This is Knuckleheads Cali versus Unstoppable's Freestyle Session 2017 when they started bringing back the crew battles. Yeah. This is about halfway through your round. Go down into a tab. And this insane air baby sequence.
Yeah, I call it the 40 ounce. It was called drunk spin, and then to do it twice, I call it a 40 ounce.
I have heard some b-boys talk about, for example, if you're at a local event and you're one of the only few that's doing power, you're gonna stick out just by default. That affects how you think of yourself on an individual style level. But then once you go to a bigger scene, you go international, and you're not the only one doing power. Does that change your mindset for, okay, what do I need to do more beyond that for me to be able to stick out? Or who am I even? Do you have any thoughts on that kind of?
That's a great observation, man, actually.
I think growing up, I was always very conscious of that you're a b-boy or b-girl in the world. Like you're not just in your little scene. Like you should be thinking and comparing yourself to everybody that's out there. And even though my name's Minnesota Joe, I represent Minnesota, of course. This is where I come from. I've always I've never compared myself really in the big grand scheme of things to just local b-boys. I would always just think about like, how is this standing out in all of the aesthetic of breaking? Like, how does this stand out? And it's a really good point that you brought up, because especially with social media and Instagram. I mean, back in the day, like someone show up with airflows, you're like, damn, who the hell is that? You know, when there was no social media.
Yeah.
Seeing the things kids do nowadays, you're just like, holy shit, there's no way that I can do that with the amount of time that I have. I'm assuming from my experience. And I don't have the time or the energy or the flexibility that these kids have. What am I gonna do that's different from them? It's just really trying to be clever with how you do your stuff. That's my approach lately, like a magician, you know? A really simple trick, but you do it in a way that's like, whoa, I did not see that coming, and it was just a sweep, but wow, that was dope. That's a mindset that all b-boys should have and b-girls. How is it different than everybody's things, not just your local scene, you know?
Especially when you come to an event like this,
yeah.
right?
There's a lot of things that can make you stand out, right? Like the way you do it. It's not what you do, but how. You know, like Easy Rock is like the best 3-step ever. It's like, or Machine has, and it's just a 3-step, but the way they do it, like it's super nasty. You know, form and pacing and musicality, all that counts. Like you said, like when you see like all these crazy moves, like what are you doing that's different? And that's as simple as that. You just really want to think about flipping the move so much that it's like just unrecognizable to you even.
How long does it take you to come up with a concept that you feel like, okay, this is really mine?
A long time. I'm a believer in not settling for your first creation. When you make something, how deeper can you go? How many ways can you flip the first thing that you made? Sometimes that paralyzes me because I'm like, it's not quite original enough, or it's not quite different enough. And so I'll work on something for like months, years even. But if you take the time to do that, chances are somebody else didn't. And so you're just that much deeper into the understanding of that move. It takes a long time. That's where the diamonds are, right? So yeah, I'm a believer in like, you gotta work hard for your stuff. And that's why you should be proud of your moves, because you worked hard for them. Not because you flipped somebody's move a little bit. Like, you gotta work hard for that, because that person worked hard for that. Coincidences happen, of course. You should own it if you've been doing it for years. And maybe a big name does it and they get recognized. And let's say you have a move that, man, I've been doing that. You should be proud of it. You should, use your social awareness, of course, be like, okay, I see Joe's doing that move, but I did it before, but I'm gonna flip it even more because I know that move. It's my move.
Any other thoughts on this particular event?
I love that it was a crew battle. It was a really fun time. There's nothing like having a crew. You all have the same approach. You all value the same things. And that's what's important about breaking. It's not always just about representing yourself, your moves or your style, representing an approach too. So just having a crew and having like-minded individuals support you can be really helpful mentally in the scene right now.
Could you expand a little bit upon Knuckleheads Cali, your guys' approach?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all believe in like storytelling. We all believe in no wasted movement. Everything should link. Everything should make sense. Every move should lead to the next one in a way that supports what came before. And also just standing out and just doing something different or strange, or we've all have moves that people are like, oh, that's kind of weird looking. You know what I mean? And we like that though. And I think we use that to our advantage. The beauty about our crew too is that there's nuances in that approach as well. Like Gordy, Flexum's really intricate too. He has got great storytelling, but he's also like super free and freestyle master. Within our crew, we just have a different approach of that storytelling. Like Bert's like bombs. He's got move, but it all makes sense. You know what I mean? It all fits his aesthetic.
The last clip we will show here is Who Got the Flower 2018. You guys went up against Lil Zoo, Chris Six, and Wolfer. You come out first.
I almost didn't make this trip because of my passport, but I gotta figure it out. Yeah, I flew in a day late. No, this move right here, yeah, I made that a while ago. The Rolling Thunder. That's some flat boys. Yeah, again, man, I know Chris has got crazy power, but I'm just trying to do what I know, right? Like the moves that I made. Yeah, that was a good round too. Shit. Yeah, and, like we were looking at that. Every battle at that level is a final battle. So you really gotta go in and do your best. I'm not trying to contradict myself from before. Not stacking so much that you're trying too hard, but you really gotta sell it.
You have to be comfortable with those moves.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about people like Clay. Okay, someone that's just or Nasty Ray. Like those guys, I envy guys that can break like that. Like they're so free,
right?
And like, but that's the thing. They're composed in their style. They're free in their style, And I have a different style, and this is the way I like to break. Yeah, composure is like so much of it.
Do you typically like to go out first?
It depends.
Okay.
It depends.
Lately, I like to go out first. I don't know. I'm just like, come on, let's get it going. We all know we're standing here. We're all watching us stand here.
Right.
Like, it's just like, just go, you know?
Yeah.
So I think we probably had some strategy here. Like, Joe, who do you got? Yeah, we try to strategize. Call Lil Zoo out, and then thesis was like, then I'll get him. There's some strategy there. A lot of the time, yeah, it's just in the moment. Like, the theatrics of it sometimes is just so silly to me. I'm like, we're gonna battle. We're gonna go out. I'm gonna go out right now. But yeah, you do need to think about that depending on who you're battling.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
We're going to jump into something a little bit more broad here, inferring basically from your social media that teaching serves as a pretty significant part of your life. Mm-hmm. For me, as someone who's seen jam attendance really drop off, unfortunately, in the past few years, and really every jam I've been to this year, it's been prelims to top 8, just because there's not enough people. Even if you are not so passionate, maybe as viewers, if you guys aren't passionate about teaching, it is still a relevant topic for us to talk about. Mm-hmm. Could you start by sharing what has your experience been with teaching? What might you see your impact on the community on a larger scale?
Yeah, those are really good points, man. I think attendance has dropped off here too, and it's unfortunate as well. Teaching is really important. It invites other people into a community that they may be foreign, that may feel foreign to them. And I think it's really important to invite people, say hi to everybody, because it's a really easy to walk away from the scene because you're like, oh, it's really intimidating.
Yeah.
It's a lot for people. And so as an educator, I feel like it's my responsibility to teach younger kids that are not part of the scene what the culture is about. Teaching kids how to cipher properly, teaching them etiquette, teaching them the mentality of how to practice or like how to make up a move. All these things contribute to somebody's brain and how they approach the dance, and hopefully they love that and they'll invest in the scene. But man, it's hard though, right? Because like we came up in a time and it's just different. You came into it because you probably saw it and loved it. You weren't in a studio. That's where I'm teaching right now. I'm teaching at a dance conservatory. It's a high school in St. Paul, Minnesota. So a lot of these kids are like studio trained, like they've never set their foot in a jam. They've never taken a breaking class. They don't know anything about it. My goal right now is to teach them the philosophy of breaking, the foundation of it, because you're seeing a lot of breaking outside of breaking context. You're seeing dance moves on the theater stage, breaking moves on the theater stage. You're seeing it in movies and stuff. We don't want this whole appropriation to happen again.
We don't want to just be a prop.
Exactly. It's time that people understand what it is now. But that's a generational thing too. I don't know how to, I just know that my job is to teach it to its closest to its origin as much as possible. It's really important to me because I am doing it in theater stages now, theater shows. I'm using breaking, and people are going to see that and they need to know like what the real deal is. Any
challenges you see with retaining students? Any positive experiences that you'd like to share related to teaching? Yeah, so 2 things. I'm in a dance company called BRKFST. Again, we do theater shows and we use mostly breaking but some contemporary ideas. And our 2 newest members are from the high school where I taught. Okay. So they're graduates, but they're not breakers per se, but doing my best to teach them the philosophy and like, this is how you cipher, this is the technique, right. I don't want you looking like you don't know what you're doing. And so that's a positive though, because they're valuable because they understand performance art, and I can learn from them too. And so that's a positive. My company actually just finished a residency at the University of Minnesota. So we taught college kids an older show of ours, so they learned choreography, but they also had technique class with us, and where we taught breaking before rehearsal. The kids actually fell in love with it because I think we didn't just teach them moves. We talked about stuff that we're talking about now, like the philosophy of it, like why it's important to learn the foundation, but like to be yourself, and like how to flip a move. And teaching that requires patience because you have the art come alive. Yeah, it's not just a windmill. And like even if you mess up a windmill, there's a move in there somewhere, like a mess up. There's always an opportunity for something there, and so that requires a lot of patience because we're patient with ourselves when we practice, And so I think they learned that from us, and I hope they are continuing to go to jam. 'Cause some of them went to that battle where I recently at Cypher Side, and that was their first jam, and they were like, "Whoa, this is super dope." Yeah, it's important to not just
teach moves to teach them the whole thing. And that takes time. Sometimes you lose students because of that, because they're just not interested. And that's okay. And I think, fuck it, that makes our scene that much better though. You know, the people that want it, they're invested. They really want to be a part of it. So if you can inspire, you know, even a couple people through this whole thing, you know, I think the scene needs it. When we grew up, we were like, man, I want a windmill. So actually, sometimes it is just about the move, right? Sometimes you just want to be like, I want to get this difficult thing. I want to do this thing, and that's fine. Because it can be intimidating seeing all this stuff online, man, you know? So it's a mix, you know? You want to be able to feel good about yourself, about doing a move, but then you also want to respect it and think about how the philosophy can also feed you, and not just the moves.
You've touched briefly upon breakfast, but just to give a overall summary, could you kind of explain what it is your guys' goal is?
Yeah.
So Breakfast Dance Company, we're breakers that are from Minnesota, specializing in concert dance, which is what we call, you know, anything on the stage, theater stage. And we specialize in, you know, all of us grew up breaking. And so we specialize in like contemporizing and distilling breaking movement on the stage. It's using the movements that we know to tell a story outside of a competition. So you're not gonna hear like James Brown or like, you know, the Mexican or Bless One or anything like that. You're not gonna hear like these classic breaks that are playing in our shows. We're using the movement as if everybody could do it. As if you're on a planet where everybody could break. Imagine you're on a planet and like the guy shoveling could head spin, right? Like everybody could do it. And so how are we using these moves that everybody knows what's going on to tell a story? Yeah, we make all of our own choreography. We're a collaborative, which means there's not one head choreographer. We all collaborate in the making of the work. We also, one of our members, Renee Copeland, she is also a composer, so she makes all of our music too. So we really try to keep it hip hop in that way, you know what I mean?
So the genre of music still hip hop?
No, I mean the approach.
Okay.
Like we try to collaborate. She'll make her own music, like
understood.
sample stuff. No, a lot of it's not hip hop at all. But it's interesting because, you know, now our members have expanded. Like I told you, we have 2 new members who aren't breakers.
Okay. How many of you are there?
Right now we have me, Mona Lisa, Renee Copeland, Sequel, Marie, Danny. And Cheng is still a part of our company. Mighty Wealthy was at one point, but he left. But it was interesting starting the company because, like, you know, as breakers, being original was everything. Doing your own moves is everything. No, that's your move. You're not gonna teach it to somebody. I'm not gonna teach my 40 ounce to anybody. That's my move. But when you're working with a collaborative and you're working on choreography and you want to tell a story, you may have to sacrifice one of those moves if it feeds the narrative. Right, so it was interesting at first as breakers coming into a company and being like, "What you want? Are we sharing our stuff? Like I don't understand what's happening here." But because we collaborate in that way and are willing to like kind of give and take from each other, I think it really makes unique stuff on stage. Like you won't see stuff like what we do anywhere else.
Could you give an example of what the theme of a certain piece or a show is like?
Yeah. So our first show called Seconds was based on biting. So we kind of addressed what biting was in hip hop and in the breaking scene. But we do it in a really abstract way. That's an example of a theme that we address on stage. Our latest show, 60/40, was about loss, like what it means to lose a friend or a family member, income, or this whole pandemic thing. It was kind of based on the pandemic a little bit. But those are the types of topics that we would address.
What has been the reception of the shows?
People love it.
Okay.
From what I've heard here, we have yet to tour. We're gonna go to Ireland,
okay,
actually in March to do our last show, 60/40. It'll be our first international tour. Yeah, people find it really strange. They find it as if they're like in another world, and just different from what they've seen. It's not like we're like killing beats on stage. You know what I mean? It's mad different. Anyway, it brings me back to my point about teaching. Like I see a lot of high-level dancers and movers do breaking stuff, but I'm like, can they throw around? You're doing it on a theater stage, that's fine, but could you cipher?
Sure.
Like, could you enter a battle? That's what I have a problem with, and that's why I feel like teaching and doing this theater stuff is really important. Because I'm a real breaker. Like, I'm not just a flexible person that can like do a rainbow, and then I'm like laying down on stage. Like that, you can't do that, man. Breakfast is gonna tour in Ireland, March 2022. We're gonna do a show out there. We're also gonna teach a residency to, hopefully breakers sign up for this. We're gonna set some work on them meaning like a theater piece, and then they're going to perform it alongside us, so that's pretty exciting. We're also premiering a show July of 2022 with the Minnesota Orchestra, so we'll be with a live string orchestra performing to Beethoven's Grosse Fugue, Opus 133, so that's really exciting. Those are the two most exciting things that are happening. And hopefully pepper some battles in there too. I'm just trying to do it all, man.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
So that's basically going to wrap it up for today's discussion. I must say it's truly, again, an honor to be able to share this time with you. And
I appreciate it too, man. I'm always curious about who watches me or listens to me. I hope you guys get something out of it. I hope you got something out of it.
Absolutely. Any other last thoughts you want to share?
Do your research, kids. Like, there's a lot of information out there. And Frankie, you're doing one of the things, right? People need to watch this. They need to watch all the other interviews that you will be doing and the ones that you've done already too. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of people that I would say are unsung heroes in your scene. Even locally, wherever you are, there's somebody that's been doing it. Like, ask them, what it was like for them coming up. And then also, this is just popping into my head, whoever you're inspired by now, look at who they were inspired by and just trace it back. Because it's gonna go back to the OGs in the scene, right? So always, again, dig deep, just with making up your own moves, dig deeper. Your inspirations, who were they inspired by? And just keep going back. And so just be a student of the game all the time.